Okay, so good to have all of you here. And we're just going to go around the horn a little bit and talk about your ministry. You'll all remember that on July the 12th, we're going to have a get together at the church building. This will be in cars, so people won't be getting out and milling with each other. It's going to start that morning at 10 o'clock with an abbreviated worship from about 10 to 10:30. And then I'm going to be scheduling primarily you guys early and elders later to come every half hour to either read a scripture and pray or just to pray. And so you'll be on at 11, 11:30, 12, 12:31, 1:30, and I'll just space it out throughout the day. And then that evening, we're going to have people who come in and we're going to hand them the little communion packets. And we're going to ask our church to fast on that day and to spend that day in prayer and reflection and just set that day aside both for our country and for our church, for our city, and that we will just join together and be united in prayer. And that's going to be on the 12th. We'll be sending out a lot of information on that. Then on the 19th, we're just going to have a fun drive-through kind of day. We're going to do probably popsicles and t-shirts and just have an hour where we're all there, have everybody drive through the parking lot so that we can say hello to everyone. And that'll be quick and, easy, but it'll let us at least say hello to our church. And we think those will be good. And then we haven't scheduled yet what's going to happen on the 26th. We'll figure that out in the next couple of weeks. Hunter, why don't you tell us about what's going on in worship? Hunter, why don't you?
There we go. Started talking and realized I was muted. Well, first of all, yeah, I'm really excited for July the 12th. We're going to have live worship that's happening from 10 until the end of the night that day. And also, Nick probably has more about this, but I think the highlight of the day is going to be Nick painting a mural on our building that kind of represents the theme of our fast. And I'm just really excited for that. Another thing is right now on Facebook this week, I'm doing a 3-part series on modern hymns. So if you're someone who, people prefer hymns, then this is a good kind of series to tune into on Facebook and kind of hear some examples of songs that have been written in the last few years that are kind of written in that style that are just really good and good for the church. So really excited for what God's doing.
Good. Thank you, Hunt. Molly, Megan, how about Molly? Why don't you give us an update on children?
Right, so next Thursday, July the 9th, our 56 crew is going to get together at Matt and Megan's house. We're going to have a pool party gathering, eat some dinner, hang out, and we're looking forward to that being a good time. Then our next big thing is we have created a camp at home kit for all of our families for 5-year-olds through 5th grade. And we are making camp in a bag. And so it's going to have t-shirts, the Bible study materials, activities, all the stuff that they need to play games and stuff for camp. It's going to line it out in great detail. And so we're putting all that together, and then we'll post our videos online that go with it. And families can, when they drive through on July 12th, they will be able to pick up their camp bag. So that way, sometime during the week of July 13th through 17th, when we were supposed to have camp in the city, then they can have camp at home, and we're excited about it. And then we know that we're looking forward to August, and we are going to have a special kindergarten celebration for our kindergartners in August before we get back into school mode.
Awesome, thanks. Bunch, why don't you tell us about students?
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy 16 weeks. We've missed a lot of faces. I've missed our students. I know a lot of students are itching to get back. One of the things, tomorrow we were going to try to do our first in-person kind of deal, but we thought, the 4th of July coming up this week, the numbers have been kind of insane lately. increasing the cases. So we're looking the following Wednesday, the 8th, getting together with students. But I also just received a box of kind of camp stuff from Big Stuff. So I'm actually looking at doing something very similar to a camp at home, but a camp kind of for students that we might do kind of a live stream kind of camp experience later on this month as I kind of explore with what Big Stuff kind of gave me. Some resources, but definitely excited these next couple of weeks of doing some in-person meetings with students. Obviously, we want to make sure that everyone is safe. That's our number one priority. So we're going to make sure that the numbers and cases are decent in our area before we decide to come together and do that. But that is our goal these next couple of weeks.
Thank you much. Brian Arvizu, tell us about Hispanic.
So in the Hispanic Ministry, what we'll be doing next week will be kind of leading up to the, starting next week, we'll lead up to the event that's going to be July 12th on the day of fasting. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, kind of being able to help us to be able to lead into that fasting. And we also will continue to have our devotionals, and we have testimonies that we gather from people that have gone through things that are from God, that only God can be helping them through their lives to be saved. And we also continue to be able to meet together in groups during this time on Zoom, but hoping we could be able to meet in person soon. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks. Judy, why don't you give us an update on finances?
Well, we're coming to the end of the half year, and I'm working towards getting a mailing out, so you'll have your statements with also additional information on what's going on with the church. And so you can be expecting that in the mail. And wow, I just am so excited that you all have the hearts to give. And by your giving, we're able to reach so many through our ministries here at Christ Church. You can give online at christchurchirving.com. You can also text 77977 if you'd like to give on PushPay, or you can mail a check, 1750 East Airport Freeway, Irving, 75062. And if you have questions, email me, judy@ccirving.com. Thank you.
That's great, Judy. And Jennifer or Susan, why don't we start with Jennifer with the women's ministry?
All right, so we've had a lot of exciting stuff going on this summer. One thing that we have going on daily for the month of June and July is our Bible study. So each morning we post on Facebook and Instagram our prompt for the day. We're studying the book of Colossians this summer. And on Fridays, Susan and I, along with others, get on to teach in a video for our women. And then we also just yesterday started our Let's Talk Race class, which is a class, basically it's a primer to get people ready for the necessary conversations about race. That kicked off yesterday, is going really well. If you're interested in being a part of any of that, you can go to ccrespond.com and sign up for summer women's events, and we'll get more info to you. And Susan's going to tell you about the other stuff we've got going on.
So last week we had our favorite things party, which was like adult show and tell. And I saw so many things that I need now to buy. It was so much fun. And we had just a great time. This coming Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the next week on July 8th, we're going to have our book club discussion on Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. And if you'd like to join us, you can register for that. It's not too late. But our next book that we're going to be reading is Everybody Always by Bob Goff. And y'all, this is a wonderful book. And if you have not read it, and you do audiobooks, I recommend you do that, because Bob Goff actually reads it, and he is so engaging, and he will spread the ways to show God's love to people in a way that just is so real.
It's awesome. Thanks. Nick.
Yeah, so communications. So in the next few weeks, we're going to start a series called Wild Wednesday. And so what that is it'll be like a 15-minute weekly Q&A session. It'll be with Greg, Matt Peacock, and myself. And so we'll be talking through political and social issues that are currently happening, if you haven't noticed. And a lot of those conversations we're already having them. A lot of people feel like they're awkward and tough, and they are. But we want to approach it from a biblical perspective, and we want to also be able to empower people who are not sure how to have the conversations, model how to have these conversations in a Christ-centered way. And so, really soon. So coming up soon, then we'll have a link on CC Respond where you can submit your questions. And so we would love to have those questions, and the tougher they are, the better. So let's do it.
Okay, I don't know that I necessarily, knowing that I'm going to be answering some of those, I don't know that I would agree with the tougher the better, but it's going to be good. Thanks, Nick, for your leadership in doing all that. Steve isn't here. He's gone this week. So let me just give you an update on groups. We've been comparing the number of people in groups in June with the number of people who were in groups in like the January, February timeframe. And what we found is that we've got the same number of groups. We have the same number of online groups as we had it before all of this started. They're not exactly the same groups because some of our groups haven't engaged online, either because they don't have the technical capability or they just haven't taken the initiative to do that. We're willing to help you if you want to get a group started. We've got the Zoom accounts and we would love for you to do that. What we know is that on February the 1st, we averaged about 200, almost 200, just over 240 people in a group in the month of February. And in the month of June, we've averaged 238. So we're within about 5 people from those that were in a group to those who are now in an online group. We've also identified about 70 people who were in a group in February, but are not in a group now in June. So we've had about 70 people who are new in groups, but we've had about 70 people who haven't engaged yet. And so if there's any way that we can do that, we want to help you to find a group or to help your group get online. We have about 15 people who are in groups every week, but don't live in the Metroplex. And it's one of the great things that's happened through the online capability. We have a couple from Waco, a couple from Iowa, a couple from Austin, a couple from just outside of a guy from just outside San Antonio. We have people from Mexico City and Chile who are now in a group with our Hispanic Ministry. So that's been really good for us to be able to engage people outside of geographic borders. And we don't think that will change. So Steve and the team are doing a great job, and we appreciate him for that. All right, Jim Crouch, why don't you give us an update on Regen and other things you've got going on?
All right. Regeneration is going to be a new ministry that's going to be launched at Christ Church. We're very excited about this ministry. It's a discipleship program. It's a full one-year curriculum, and it's for especially those of us who are dealing with past issues, broken relationships, guilt because of sin, bad habits, addictions. Discipleship is a call to love God and to love people, and those are relationships. And it's also a call to help others build relationship with God and relationships with people. And we're all called to discipleship. And so what Regeneration does is it teaches us the biblical tools to help us build a healthy relationship with God, dealing with anything that we haven't dealt with in our past, any healing that we need, so that we can have recovery in Christ. And then it also teaches us also the biblical tools that we need to build healthy relationships with people. And then it calls us and challenges us to take that message and to teach others. how to build a relationship with God and build healthy relationships with people. So this is a brand new ministry. We've been working on this for about 9 months now. And so we have 28 people that are going through the program right now and who are training to be leaders to lead others through that program. And Lord willing, that program is going to launch in October, so you'll hear a lot more about Regeneration in the coming months. So that's one of the main things that I'm involved in. I love that ministry. I also love the opportunity Christ Church has given to me to reach out to people, especially those that are maybe more vulnerable, those that are elderly, those that need prayer and assistance in various ways. And so I get the opportunity, the privilege of actually visiting with and interacting with a lot of people during the week at Christ Church. Thank you so much for that opportunity, and blessings to all.
Thank you, Jim. And with Steve being gone, Judy, why don't you give us an update on the things that are going on in benevolence?
There's a lot going on in benevolence, and it's really, really exciting. Through this whole process with the COVID-19, we've just exploded with ability to help others. And we've been coming alongside of Crisis Ministries and Irving Cares, and to that we've added Community Council of Greater Dallas. And we've been working with them. We have 34 adopted families, and we're looking at adding more to that in the near future. And we've had food for people. You have been very generous to drop off food. We've continued to have food. We'll be accepting food donations at the Day of Fasting on the 12th of July. And we've also have things coming up in the future. We have Austin Street. We have been able to schedule 8 feeding events. And that's so exciting to be able to sponsor that and be able to look to feed people. We've been able to fix 6+ cars so that people can drive to work. We've done 6+ community service events. We've had windows replaced, lawns mowed, childcare and cleaning taken care of. We've had so much going on, and it's just so exciting to see the heart of people being touched by the outreach of Christ Church.
Thank you, Judy, and thanks to you and Steve for leading those efforts. You've done a great job. Jim, thanks. You jumped in at the beginning so that you could cover that too. We sure appreciate you. All right, Keith, if you'll wrap us up, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've got let me first talk about our August series. That series is going to be something called Why, When, How. And it's based on why worship when not in a building, and how do you do that? Why be in a small group when we're not at the building, and how do you do that? So we're going to take about 4 or 5 weeks to talk about really the values of our church, but values that we need to have when not at the building. And if we are back in the building, those are still values that I can preach about for August. So I'm trying to be flexible with that, but Greg and I talked about it yesterday. We're pretty sold on preaching that in August. The challenge, and I'm in prayer about it, and we'll just see where God leads us. And if you have, if God speaks to your heart, you can speak into this as well. I've got 2 thoughts for the rest of July. Greg's going to wrap everything up on July 12th. And starting July 19th, there's a 2 to 3 week window for a series. My heart has been led to Psalms this summer. So I can definitely preach from Psalms and it'd be great. But also there's another side that I kind of think I may need to preach about the fact that God is in control and that God's got this. So those are the 2 things that I'm kind of weighing, and really I'm 50-50. So email me or text me and let me know what you think, because I want confirmation one way or the other, or I'll just see where God leads me and we'll do that. So I was going on Psalms, And now inkling in is God's got this kind of control thing. So,
Hey, Keith, let me
that's it.
jump in. Let me jump in for a second and just thank you for your ability to listen to him and to follow his leading, because every time you speak, there's just no question that it is from God, and you're listening to him and you're speaking his words. And so I just appreciate you for that.
Thanks. Thank you. Hey, I do want y'all, I mentioned this earlier, but everybody on staff, y'all are doing such a great job, really, in connecting with our church and connecting with one another. I was reading in Genesis where Jacob and Esau, remember they had that split and then they came back together. And they said to one another, to see your face is to see the face of God. And it was just a precious and beautiful moment. And it had been years since they'd seen one another, but they reconciled and they said that. And I feel that way whenever I see your face as a staff. And I know our church feels that way whenever you connect with them. To see one another's face is to see the face of God. And y'all are doing a great job of wanting to connect with our church and engage with them and with one another. And so I know our church appreciates it so much to see your face, because when our church sees your face and when we see the face of one another, it is very similar to seeing the face of God. So thank you for that.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to send this out to our church, and they can, I don't know why they'd want to spend 15 minutes listening to us, but I'm sure a couple of them will. So thanks for doing this.